who is the most famous person in Muar? Name we.
I'm going to start this leg of the tour from the southern city of Thailand, Hat Yai. This travel will be a land-based journey. I will cross the land border of Thailand into Malaysia and then travel the entire peninsular Malaysia from north all the way to the south before coming back to Singapore. The theme of this trip, one city, one night. Join me in this unique journey with me.
I'm now traveling on a bus in Malacca, going down south towards Singapore on a one city, one night journey. My next destination is Muar, which is just 50 kilometers south of Malacca. Muar is located at the northern parts of the state of Johor, somewhat in between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. It is situated 180 kilometers south of Kuala Lumpur and 180 kilometers north of Singapore. Just like Batu Pahat, Muar is also many of my Malaysian schoolmates, colleagues, counterparts and friends coming from. That sparked my interest to see and find out more about their place of birth. I am pretty excited to come to Muar. To be frank, exactly the same feeling hits me when I plan to go to Batu Pahat. Any transport coming from Malacca will inevitably come across the 400-meter wide Muar River where the Sultan Ismail Bridge spans across. I have my eyes glued to the bus window, marveling at the most important Muar River in which this city is named after. The bus terminal is situated just next to the Sultan Ismail Bridge. The bus terminal is pretty smallish. This is so befitting of this old town charm. I'm at Muar bus station now. So the journey takes about slightly less than an hour. I quickly do a quick search of the timing of my outgoing bus tomorrow. After all, I'll be using the same bus stop in the next 18 hours or so later. Now, I'm taking a mental photography of the bus schedule. Okay, I just acquainted myself with all the buses in Muar so that tomorrow I can come on over here and have a seamless journey back home. This is Muarar Hotel 99. It is easily one of the tallest buildings in the city of Muar Center. So I've just walked into this hotel. How do you pronounce your name? Muarar. Muarar. Alright, okay. So I've got a room. Okay. Walk-in rate at 108. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Now I'm proceeding to go to my room. Where my room is. While it is not the best hotel with the best review, the best thing about Muarar Hotel is the fact that this hotel is located very close to the bus terminal, just 2 streets away. I have already made a reservation online on my way from Malacca to Muar. And so now, I will just have to collect my room from the reception and then make my way to my room. Oh, look at how big it is. Except for the fact that there's a smoking room. Oh dear, this is a smoking room. Maybe should I ask for a change?
Moments later.
I went down to the reception and make a change to my room for a non-smoking one. Now, I like my new room a lot more better. Yep, similar room, similar configuration, but the air is so much fresher. Yeah, so there isn't any smoking lingering in the air. Okay, that's the toilet. After a quick shower, I made my way for dinner. But before that, I was quite mesmerized by the Muar River earlier and wants to catch a sunset. The best place to catch the sunset in Muar City Centre has to be over at the Muar River Bridge. I quickly make my way to the Sultan Ismail Bridge.
I guess I'm too late or that's too cloudy to see sunset.
The sky is fantastically blue. The bridge has already lighted up. But too bad, due to the cloudy weather, I am unable to see the sunset.
That's a pity.
I am now at Jalan Maharani Hawker Centre. Next to the bus terminal, the car park during daytime transforms itself into a night hawker centre. This outdoor place has dozens of stalls selling local fast food and a huge dining area. I have this feeling this place caters more to the local and it is not as crowded as I thought to be. I checked in and make a foot-out walk to find Mee Bandung and finally walk back to Muar City Centre again empty-handed. I look around me on Google Map on where is the nearest food I can find. Niu Hokkien Mee, which I have pinned on my Google Map, is just round the corner where I stay. I fear stores in Muar shops close very early.
I saw it. Niu Chao Xia Mian. Okay, let me cross the road.
So I quickly rushed there.
So this is my first food in Muar.
The owner of Niu Hokkien Mee unfortunately has closed the shop for the day.
炒虾面给我一个。下面对。
I can see that his kitchen and wok are all cleaned up properly and ready to close for the day. Probably seeing how I was rushing into his store and panting, the owner of Niu Hokkien Mee probably takes pity of me and make an exception. I also told him that I come all the way overseas to try his food, and maybe my sincerity touched him and he decided to open his wok again. Hokkien Mee is one of my favorite food back home. One thing I observed is that as I go more and more south of Malaysia towards Singapore, the food is getting more and more similar to Singapore way of cooking. That said, the Malaysia Northern Penang Hokkien Mee is so different from the way that Singapore prepared. The Hokkien noodle may have the same name, but the dish and looks taste completely different between Singapore and Penang. From the way Niu cooks and the smell exuding from his cooking, I know what I will be expecting. There is this feeling of familiarity as he tosses and fries his noodle. Both Niu and I chatted a bit. Probably the state of Johor in which Muar district is located is near Singapore. There are quite a lot of common topics we are able to chat on. Squeeze it. Compared to the Singapore version, this version is not as moist and laddy. I will just take it as these are different. Niu Hokkien noodle tastes so much like the good ones that I have back home. If you are into chili spicy, you can always challenge Niu's chili. It is so too spicy for me. And I just have to scoop the chili aside. The chili is too spicy, so just noodle without chili. My Hokkien noodle cost 12.50 ringgit. MCA Bentayan food court. The owner of Niu and his wife are such nice people. In our conversation, they tell me where to go and give me a general orientation of this town, Muar. Given that many of the places are already closed by the time I reach Muar, and all the restaurants that I pinned on the Google Map are already closed, Niu and his wife told me to try my luck at Bentayan Food Court. The name Bentayan Food Court is based on the street located there. This food court is located a few blocks away from Niu Hokkien noodle store, and this food court has operated for quite some time since 1980. Bentayan Food Court is the biggest food court in Muar. There are around 20 to 30 stores. Almost every store in the food court are time-tested stores. This place is like all the good food in Muar all caught in one big net. Bentayan from outside and even inside looks like any other food center in the entire Malaysia. Since my friends all says must eat otak when I'm here, and there are a couple of otak stores selling here, I just randomly picked store number 7 to eat. After all, I can't wait but to dive into the store the moment I see otak. The owner of the otak store generously let me film the entire otak grilling process. The otak is grilled over charcoal. This is actually how we do it when I was young. Fun fact, I did actually help out in an otak store when I was young. Nowadays, I do not see otak prepared in this manner. They somehow are prepared and grilled in the central kitchen and magically appear at the store as finished products in Singapore. Wow! Look at the 1 ringgit price tag. This is exactly the kind of price that we eat decades ago. Muar, as I read, is still one of the cheapest place to eat in Johor.
6味汤有没有啊？啊？给我一个。
I foresee my otak might be spicy,
冷的。
so I get ready my iced dessert just in case. I order a cheng teng costing 3 ringgit. Now, I'm ready to eat. The otak here is served on a used newspaper, and the cheng teng just stand by in case the spicy fury takes place in my mouth later. Looks wise, the otak look identical as what I'm eating in Singapore. The marinated fish meat is sandwiched in between the coconut leaves held on by the staplers. But taste-wise, compared to the Singapore version, it has got lots more fish content in there and a little bit more spicy. Muar main town center at night can be depressingly quiet. The brightly lit baker's cottage cake shop looks like a beacon in the night.
1.
So this is cost 8 ringgit. I got to prepare myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Self-service.
Self-service. Oh. I went inside this confectionery and I got tempted by the cake. I was eager to try out the red velvet cake, but too bad there's no promotion on it. So I ended up with the white cake with coffee. Nighttime in Muar can be very, very quiet. The only thing I can think of is just to crash into an air-conditioner place and eat. The entire dessert with coffee set cost 8 ringgit. Night in Muar can be very quiet at most part of Muar city centre. Probably except for the hawker centre, I do not see many people walking out at night along the streets. It seems to be a good and safe place to walk around enjoying the quiet environment. I suppose in this old city where life takes a slower pace and there isn't any much things to do at night here and people tend to go to bed earlier. Thus, I will go back to my hotel room earlier and try to have an early day tomorrow.
The next day.
This is the first time I have a clear view of Muar from the hotel I stay at. Hello, good morning to Muar. So this is Saturday, and I'm just woke up and trying to get my breakfast around Muar. Starting from now, I altogether have slightly less than 6 wakeable hours in Muar before I'm leaving this place. I will start off with breakfast and then make use of the rest of the time doing a city tour of Muar. I will then check out, make my way to the bus station and leave this place. This has been my usual mode of operation for the last 1 week. Given I have just half a day here, I am somewhat limited by how far I can go from here. The good thing, however, is that Muar is not a big place, and this is sufficient for me to cover all the sites within the city. You must have it. Everyone I talk to says when I mention Mee Bandung. The Malay word Bandung means mixed in English. As I have never come across Mee Bandung before, it really piqued my interest. I decided to try another Mee Bandung restaurant after my failed attempt last night. There's no way I am going to leave Muar without tasting Mee Bandung. Just like there's no way that I can leave Muar without tasting Muar Otak. But no way I'm going to walk on the bridge on a hot day. I walked past One Sun Cafe, which is about less than a kilometer from where I stay. Wait. Okay, you. Hello. Pagi. The coffee shop setup is a very aged kopitiam one. The walls are fully plastered with famous people and celebrities who patronize this place. When I do my research during my editing, it seems this place is one of the landmarks of Muar, where Mee Bandung purportedly originated since 1960s. The uncle manning the place graciously allowed me to film his cooking process. From where I'm standing, the cooking is pretty laborious and slow. Each dish seems to be a masterpiece from the chef. My order is one of the chef's first order, and looking from the lens of a city dweller where food in my city is produced in a conveyor belt factory-like manner, I really wonder how this shop would manage to survive. But I am terribly wrong. I fail to comprehend that is where the beauty of a slow life in a slow city comes into the picture. I cannot rush the chef, and anyway, he has his own thinking and way anyhow. The chef is very friendly and chatty, and we do quite a bit of side talk while he's doing his cooking. Camera, video. Berapa? Seribu. This I call is leisure living.
Chicken, nasi goreng ayam.
Okay. Thank you. Finally, my Mee Bandung is served. What exactly is Mee Bandung? At first glance, from the internet pictures, it looks like a power-up mee rebus that we normally eat back home. But the moment I start tasting Mee Bandung, I could taste traces of mee rebus, curry noodle, and even Nonya Laksa. And to top it off, there is a delicious KFC-style fried chicken and a poached egg. I could even taste dry shrimps inside the dish. Very comforting. A little bit on the sweet side. Now I quite understand what the word Bandung comes about. I can tell you there are a plethora of tastes in Mee Bandung. But once you get used to the first taste, you are able to enjoy different tastes bombarding your taste buds. Surrounding me is the wall plastered completely with celebrities that I don't even know. I was told that the Sultan of Johor loves this Mee Bandung dish and patronized some time back. The entire meal cost 13 ringgit. And I sweep clean the entire dish. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Muar Giant Wall Murals. After trying the delicious food in Muar, a little walk to hunt for street art is good for burning those calories that I have loaded. The majority of wall murals in Muar concentrates around the town center, so it is easy to hunt them down. Throughout the city, there are pockets of wall murals on the old walls. One just have to be discerning when walking on the streets. And many of the wall murals in Muar are big, occupying the wall of multi-story buildings fully. The most impressive of them all, and the most famous one, must be the Loving Sisters. The artist behind the Loving Sister wall mural is Julia Volkova, a Russian mural artist. She had painted a wall mural measuring 11.89 meters in height and 9.75 meters in width on this wall for 10 days in Jalan Arab. It was completed on 17th July 2016. The Loving Sisters, comprising of two young sisters from Muar. Back then, this wall mural has been verified and recorded into Malaysia Books of Record as the biggest portrait mural in Malaysia on 18th of July 2016. Muar River. I was on the Sultan Ismail Bridge the evening before, on the bus and as well as walking on the bridge. As it was getting dark, I told myself to come to the riverbank to have a closer look the next day. Apparently, the beautiful Muar River scene is blocked by the buildings and part of it sits on private property. And so I have to find means and ways to get into the buildings and through the buildings that line the riverbank. I am not sure why I am so fixated with going to the Muar River again. Probably this white river gives me a sense of peace within me. It is almost like going to the beach looking at the sea. In the case of the Muar River, this is the river that flows from inland from the states of Malacca and pour its content into the Straits of Malacca through Muar. The mouth of the Muar River opens up a few kilometers downstream from the city center of Muar. To be frank, the river itself is not at all very attractive, but at certain parts of the river, I can still see what's left of the fishing village where some fishing boats are still docked sporadically along the river. I go up to the Sultan Ismail Bridge again for the third time in this trip. I do not hang around the bridge for too long. It is just too hot out there exposed to the elements of nature. I walk back into Muar city center from the Sultan Ismail Bridge. For many, this is how one enters into this royal Johor city officially, from the Sultan Ismail Bridge. The main thoroughfare leads into the old quarters of Muar. Walking along the 5-foot way, I can imagine how Muar was once considered a major trading city in Johor about 100 years ago. Muar Old Quarters. I would dare say back then, the number of shophouses here in Muar could rival the grandeur of the neighboring Malacca city. It is a pity that nowadays, this trading activities conducted in Muar has obviously reduced to a trickle of its heydays. The many Chinese temples in the city center witnessed the rise and fall of the Muar city. Temples in Muar are mostly Southern Chinese style architecturally and simple. The Nan Hai Fei Lai Temple is a Chinese-style Buddhist temple just opposite the bus terminal in Muar. The entrance to the temple is innocuously looking as it is very plain apart from the ornate roof. This temple is dedicated to Guan Yin with a main shrine depicting her multi-armed form. The history of this temple easily dates back to 100 years ago. The rundown shops here still house many businesses handed down generations after generations. The living pace in Muar can be a very slow one. The conditions of many shophouses are largely in a state of neglect, or rather kept in a state of status quo. For tourists like me, it may be a good sight to experience the old town charm of this place. But such devoid of business activities and employment opportunities drives many youngsters to the bigger nearby metropolitan city like Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. That explains why I get to meet classmates and friends studying and working in Singapore. Glutton Street. Muar Glutton Street is a 100-meter stretch along Jalan Haji Abu. It is also synonymously referred to as Fruit Street, Jalan Haji Abu. There are dozens of food stores along Muar Glutton Street. They open for business at different times of the day and have different off days. Behind me is Glutton Street. Let's go in. Compared to the old quarters of Muar where I came from, this part of the city is more lively, and this is where a bustling of commercial activities can be found. I take a walk along Jalan Haji Abu. The street is open to cars and motorcycles as well, so do look out for traffic. As the name suggests, Glutton Street is a place where one can find many famous local food in here. A few of my pinned stores are located along this street. However, I just had my Mee Bandung breakfast just half an hour ago, and I do not have any spare capacity for any more food. I do, however, take the opportunity to have Chinese herbal tea by the roadside. 老板，有没有24味啊？ This herbal tea do have the ability to reduce my body heatiness and cure initial symptoms of flu for me. While I do not want to advocate too much of this effect to other people in public forums, I do swear by the effectiveness in general. Thank you. My visit in Muar happens to coincide with the 9th day of the Chinese New Year taking place tomorrow. Southern Malaysia, especially in the states of Johor, where Muar is situated, has a high proportion of Hokkien-speaking people. The 9th day of the Chinese New Year is called Tian and this day is the biggest event during the entire Chinese New Year period for the Hokkien people worldwide. The marketplace along the Glutton Street is livened up with goodies to celebrate the occasion, where the Hokkien people will prepare a plentiful tribute and one pair of cane sugar to worship Tian. Back in the ancient day in Chinese history, the Northern Army killed the Hokkien people on a large scale. That occurs in ancient times. Then the Hokkien people had to flee to the cane field to escape those powerful soldiers.
哇，老板娘，这样一双多少钱啊
13。
哦，13哦，OK 啊，没有啦，我不是本地人，啊，游客，我怎么能拿这个？
你不会13啊？不会13。
我是坐巴士来的。
This event takes place during Chinese New Year, where the Hokkien people seek refuge inside the sugarcane field. It is until the 9th day of the Chinese New Year calendar that those residents just come out of the cane field. Sugarcane in Chinese word is ganze, and the sound read in Hokkien, kam jia, means thank you. This has a symbolic meaning of thanking the god for saving them. I am on a rush to get back to my hotel to do my checkout. However, I am attracted by a fragrant cake smell as I pass by a confectionery shop selling freshly made fish-shaped egg sponge cake. I had to stop by and get some things back home. After all, I realized that I've not bought anything substantial during my trip. As I mainly travel light, I do not usually get any souvenirs during my trip. But since it's coming to the end of my trip, I have the ability to get something to eat for my family. I must tell you something. My mom loved this cake when I brought it back. I should have buy more of this. Bye, Muar. I am almost done with Muar. Again, there are still a few things that I want to do, like going to the authentic coffee shop and going to the most famous Otak shop in Muar to get the most famous Otak that I missed out the night before. I realized I am cutting too close to noon and my bus is scheduled to leave at 12:30 p.m. If I were to miss this bus, the next bus to Johor Bahru is after 2:30 p.m. I have earlier planned for a dinner appointment in Singapore later this evening. So now I have to die leave Muar
Johor Bahru.
and fast.
Thank you. Thank you.
I now have 30 minutes to do a checkout, make my way to the bus terminal, get a ticket, and then board the bus. I'm not sure if I can still achieve that within the tight deadline.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, worst come to worst, even if I
up
cannot
platform.
make it on time, I am prepared to take the next bus a few hours later.
Simple.
The good thing is that my hotel is just 2 streets away. So this is where I stay. The brownish building, the tall brownish building there. I think that's the reason why I chose this hotel. Lakin. Yes, finally I make it. So I have to say sorry to the kopitiam and the Otak shop. I have to give you a miss this time around. Maybe next time perhaps.
Okay.
I am now on board on the bus towards Johor Bahru. Where is my next destination? No more. This is my homebound journey.
Yes.
Firstly, from Muar to Johor Bahru. And from Johor Bahru, I will take another bus to the Malaysia-Singapore custom. And then back home via Woodlands. Just 7 days ago, I started this journey in Hat Yai, some 900 kilometers away from my home, Singapore. This journey has got some key rules. One city in one night, there is no night traveling allowed, and of course, I cannot take any airplane. Over the last 7 days, I covered 7 cities. Hat Yai, Songkhla, Kanga, Ipoh, Kuala Lumpur, Malacca, and finally Muar. I am now on my journey home, and after that, head straight for my Chinese New Year dinner celebration. So, see you at my next destination. If you watch until here, do like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you, and bye.
Later.
What is that?